word is now. That is the secret word. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Imaginary Boys podcast. We are your hosts. I am Mr. Habanero. This is my good friend, Mr. Lettuce over here.
Howdy.
And yeah, we're just here to have a good time. We're planning on keeping it pretty casual today. We had a few different ideas for what we wanted to talk about, and we kind of realized that, we just feel like kind of shooting it, just kind of talking about whatever's on our minds. And I had something that I came across. I actually struggled with it. I struggled with it this week, and so I thought it would be really fun to kind of talk about it. And I'm positive that Lettuce was kind of interested in it as well, since he had some particular things that he wanted to mention, which was we wanted to talk about sleeping. Sleeping has been, obviously it's been an interesting issue for me lately, because for anybody who isn't already aware, I've talked about it a few times, I have a graveyard shift job. And because of that graveyard shift job, I have basically had to completely shift my life into that graveyard shift. And I have been told by some people that I work with, actually, for my graveyard shift, that, they kind of will still try to keep a normal day-to-day, sleeping schedule on their days off, and then they only just sleep, during the day and work during the night when they're actually on shift for work. And I personally don't think that my body can handle that kind of erratic change all the time. I like to keep to particular schedules, especially when it comes to sleeping. So I basically have just completely adjusted myself to sleeping in the day and staying up all night, whether or not I need to. Because I only actually work. I only work about 3 days a week, unless I choose to do a extra day, which, usually I'm not in the mood because I'd rather be working on all the wonderful projects that I'm working on. But despite the fact that it's only 3 days out of my week where I'm absolutely required to be sleeping in that fashion, I'm making the choice to keep to that sleeping schedule every single day. I try to be in bed by like 10 a.m., and then I try to be out of bed by 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Usually I try to be out of bed by 6 p.m., but lately it's been that I get out of bed by 7 p.m. So, it's just a pretty wild one. It's a pretty weird schedule, and I don't know if Lettuce in particular has any kind of experience with crazy graveyard shift schedules. Do you have any input, buddy?
No. I've always had a real person job.
Ah, I see. You're not a psychotic man like I am, huh?
No. I was always if I can get second shift, great. If not, I'll work the first shift and just deal with the morning.
Right.
Not a morning person.
Dude, I feel that. I mean, it's weird because I always felt like I wasn't a morning person until I started realizing that this schedule requires me to be up in the morning. So what I would say is I'm not a person who likes to be doing things or being active 1 to 2 hours right after I wake up. That's not what I'm all about. You know what? In fact, actually, I haven't even had my coffee yet. I woke up about an hour ago and I still have not had my coffee. And
sucks to you.
I know, it does feel... I'm actually, now that I'm recognizing it, I feel a little weird, especially considering that almost every podcast that we've done so far, I've had a mug of coffee in front of my face. And for anybody who doesn't know, I'm a coffee addict. And the weird thing is that it's not... Now, I have to specify that...
No, not you. Not Mr. Habanero. That's impossible.
The guy who's, constantly having a mug, tipped over in front of his face in the middle of every single stream and even some of his videos. Couldn't be possible. Or, I had that stream where I talked about coffee for, an hour and a half. Oh, my God. the thing is, though, is I'm not a caffeine addict, you guys. I'm not. I mean, I drink a lot of coffee, which is very heavily fully caffeinated. But I'm not a caffeine addict. I'm not, like, trying to consume caffeine in every way possible. Like, you're never going to see me take a caffeine pill or, you know, huff caffeine powder or chug a Monster energy drink, because energy drinks are disgusting.
Bro, I'm not addicted to heroin. I just try it to prove to myself I don't like it. I'm just trying to cut down on the number of times I have tried it.
Shut up, man! I can quit whenever I want to, okay? You can't see me, but I'm scratching my arms right now as I'm speaking. But, like, listen, okay? Listen, hear me out, bro. Hold on, wait a minute, man. Hold on. You gotta hear me out. I like everything about coffee specifically. I like the taste of it. I like the smell of it. I like making it. I like the process of making it. I like it in all its different forms. Like, sometimes I want to have a dry cappuccino, which is very robust and flavorful, with, like, no milk except for... I like to have my cappuccinos extra dry, no milk, no milk, but extra, what's the word? Extra foam. So I drink a dry cappuccino, no milk, extra foam. And I love that. But I also like my mochas, and I like my black coffee, and I like, you know, just different things. I just like coffee, man. I love it. I adore it. It's my favorite. So I gotta have my coffee. And here's the thing, too, that's super weird, is getting back on the main topic in the first place. Coffee doesn't affect my ability to sleep at all. It's really weird. I can drink a gigantic... I could drink, like, 4 cups of coffee. I've done this before, multiple times. I could drink 4 cups of coffee and then go to bed probably about... Like, if I drink 4 cups of coffee and then 10 minutes later I go to bed, I'll be totally fine. Like, I'll crash. I'll just crash. Like, it's not a big deal at all. It's very strange.
I've got an unfortunate fact for you, buddy.
What's up?
When you're a caffeine fiend,
yeah,
like you are, the stuff stops having an effect on you like other drugs, and you need more and more and more of it.
Well, but that's also part of it, is that I don't drink coffee to get a caffeine high. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, I can't do anything. You know, because, like, for example, here I am right now doing the podcast. I feel totally fine. I know that I haven't had my coffee, and I really wish that I had coffee right now. But I'm aware that I haven't had any coffee, but I'm okay. Like, I don't feel like I'm exhausted. I don't feel like I can't perform or speak in front of people. You know, and I feel awake. Like, I mean, I've been awake for about, like, I got out of bed at about 6:20, I think. I think that's about when I got out of bed. And, you know, I wanted... The first thing on my mind was... I didn't even think about coffee, because all I had on my mind was I need to get in touch with my favorite lovely Mr. Man, Mr. Lettuce over here, and I got to get all my equipment set up, I got to get my software set up, and I got to start getting ready to do the podcast, because I have a very tight schedule today. So... coffee didn't even cross my mind until I was here sitting in front of you trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about. And I was like, oh, by the way, I haven't had my coffee. But I feel fine, you know? So I don't depend on the actual caffeine fix of drinking coffee. I legitimately just enjoy it. And, like, yes, I would say that I'm addicted. My overall view is I'm addicted to coffee, but I'm not addicted to the caffeine of coffee. You know what I mean?
Caffeine is not addictive.
Oh, it's not? Okay. Just coffee.
It's not addictive.
It's just coffee that's addictive?
Something like that.
Yeah. I feel like that I can... I mean, I will admit that it does happen where if I go... Like, for example, like, by the end of this podcast, I'll probably make myself some coffee, and that'll be fine. But if I go for... Because I've actually tested it before. If I go, like, 2 days without drinking coffee, I will feel so shitty. I will not be able to do anything. Like, I just, that's straight up, like, withdrawal symptoms. Like, I'm not gonna lie about it. That's straight up coffee withdrawal, you know? But it's also not like I'm fiending super hard the moment that I get up for it either. So, I don't know. It's kind of got this weird balance for me. And, I can definitely say that I even remember some of my first experiences with realizing that caffeine doesn't affect my sleeping patterns. So one of my favorite stories about that in particular is when I was in high school, when I was in high school, I think this was about 2007, I think. They had Coca-Cola was like experimenting with a whole bunch of different kinds of drinks that were like very weird, and there was a discontinued Coca-Cola drink that they had in 2007 called Coca-Cola Black. And Coca-Cola Black, totally not sponsored by the way, Coca-Cola Black had this kind of soda that was like a energy drink, but it was also a coffee drink, and it was Coca-Cola infused with coffee.
They've actually brought it back.
Did they really? Is it still a thing?
Yeah, you can buy Coke with coffee now.
Like,
they don't call it Coca-Cola Black.
They call it something else?
Yeah, they call it Coca-Cola with coffee.
I'll look into it. Because I remember...
And it's Coca-Cola with a shitty coffee aftertaste.
That's kind of what this was, too. Like, it definitely... Coca-Cola Black had an infusion flavor, for sure. Like, where I could taste the soda, like the Coca-Cola, but I could also taste the coffee at the same time.
Oh, the thing about Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola with coffee now, is you don't taste the coffee until you talk afterwards. That lingering aftertaste.
Oh,
like you take it and then you run some oxygen against your against your taste buds, and you're like, oh yeah, there is a coffee aftertaste to that. Man, that's a shitty cup of coffee.
That's kind of like when you drink a cream soda and then you inhale right afterwards, and then it just tastes like vanilla in your mouth.
Yeah, but I'll deal with that.
Yeah, well, it's because that's delicious. But yeah, so back in 2007, they had a product called Coca-Cola Black, and my friend bought like a 6-pack of them, which was crazy expensive at the time. And we drank, I think we both drank 2 of them, and we had the other 2 left over. And I will never forget being on one of the most intense caffeine highs I think I've ever felt in my entire life. I was wired to the freaking maximum. And me and this friend of mine, we were doing everything and anything we could to burn that energy at the time. Like, we were just like wild, crazy dudes running around outside, just like being wacky, crazy dudes, having a good time, hanging out.
Whoa.
What?
Whoa. Remember, this is the kids-friendly podcast.
Hey, man. The devil's in the details, bro. So don't make me talk about them.
Keep it to your OnlyFans, buddy.
Coming soon. So yeah, we were just going crazy, and I remember going home at the end of that day and still being like, because we had them in the early afternoon, and I remember going home at night and still being totally wired out of my freaking skull. Just absolutely wired to the freaking maximum, dude. But then what happened was my parents were like, okay, well, we had a good time because we were actually vacationing out with the friend at the time. It was a family friend. And we came back home and, they knew that I was wired on this hardcore, Coca-Cola Black caffeine drink. And they're like, okay, well, it's bedtime, and you got to get up early for school, so are you going to be good? I'm like, yeah, totally, no problem, it's totally fine. I get in bed, and I just out like a light. Absolutely just crashed, no struggle. I fell asleep so fast it was ridiculous, like record time. And then I remember waking up the next morning and just back. Like, totally 100% awake, had no fatigue whatsoever. I was 100% on like a light bulb, And I was just like, oh my god, like, I feel like I can do anything. I feel super energetic. I feel amazing. I feel like I can, lift a car off of a small baby, I feel like I'm Superman. So I go to school and I'm just like wired. I'm doing everything. I'm doing my assignments. I'm like having a great time hanging out with friends, just being a wild, crazy, highly caffeinated guy. And the whole day is fine. And then fifth period rolls around and I have a crazy important English test. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go. I have this test. It's going to be great. Everything's fine. Like, I totally got this. It's going to be amazing. And I'm sitting there in class, and I'm just working on this test. I'm going crazy hard on it. And then I start noticing that my eyelids are dropping. And then my head starts nodding slowly. And, like, suddenly, like, every once in a while, my pencil will drag off to the side from the test score, from the test bubbles. And I'm just nodding off, and I'm like, oh God, no. Oh God, this test is so important. No, I have to finish it. And I'm just like struggling to stay awake. I am crashing so hard so quickly. And then I just kind of like get to a point of where I'm literally zombie mode, half asleep. And I'm just like, random answers, just fill in the bubble, random bubble, just get it done. Like it doesn't, and I felt lucky that it was a multi-choice, standardized bubble fill test. So I'm just like, random bubbles, it doesn't matter, you're gonna crash. And then I fill it in, and then sluggishly walk the test up to the front of the class and put it on the desk. I was like one of the first few people to like even turn in the test, and that's not a particularly good sign for me specifically, because the teacher was like, that's very unusual for you. I don't know if that's good or bad. And then I walked back to my desk, and I just slammed my head on the desk, and I was out. I was out for the rest of that entire testing period. And then luckily I remember that the period after that, that was the last period of the day, because we had it separated into long periods where one day it would be 1, 3, 5, and then one day it would be 2, 4, 6. So, and there would be extended periods of the class. So after fifth period, I got to go home and crash. But that was my experience with Coca-Cola Black. But the thing is that, like, I crashed hard from that, obviously. But that the point is that I could still go to bed high on caffeine, like blown out of my mind high on caffeine. And it doesn't stop, like I can just immediately crash and then immediately wake up and still have energy that I haven't like burnt through the next day. And I mean, don't even try to ask me how that even works scientifically, because I ain't no doctor. I have no idea how that kind of stuff works. It's pretty wild to me. But
stimulants don't actually keep you awake.
They don't?
Stimulants do not make it impossible for you to sleep.
Oh, okay.
It's what you do. It's what your body does on the stimulants. It's the secondary reactions that typically make it hard for somebody to sleep while on a stimulant.
Gotcha. So it's maybe like the stimulant itself is not keeping you awake. It's like the brain activity caused by the stimulant that's keeping you awake.
Nerve-ending reactions. A lot of people become hypersensitive.
Right.
On that, which makes them uncomfortable, which pulls them out of sleep. Brain activity. If some people don't even need stimulants to not be able to shut off their brain. The brain activity will not let you get into sleep states.
Yeah.
But a stimulant, if your heart is racing,
mm-hmm.
you can still sleep through elevated heart rhythm.
I think I've heard that before. Like, can't people sometimes like have heart attacks while they're sleeping and literally just die in their sleep like that?
I mean, that's 95% of the time when people die in their sleep, they die because of cardiovascular failure.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And a little spooky, obviously, but
my ex-wife, when she had her kid, went through like the first 3 parts of her labor asleep.
Wow. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. Her water broke. She came home, said, "Hey, my water broke." I'm like, "So how are you feeling?" She's like, "I'm fine." We had dinner, and I figured we had a long night coming to us, so might as well catch some sleep while we can.
Right.
We end up just having like like I was thinking like an hour or two nap. No, we were asleep for 6-7 hours.
Right.
And the only reason why I woke up is because she was shivering uncontrollably because she was transitioning into the final phase of her labor.
Oh my god, that's got to be scary to wake up to that.
Not really.
Okay.
Packed her in the car, went to the birthing center. When we got her into the birthing center, the top of my kid's head was poking out.
Whoa! Whoa!
That's... easiest labor in the world.
Okay, well, I mean, it sounds like it worked out then. It's just, that's so wild of, like, how in your face but simultaneously casual it sounds like it was.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Man.
So yeah, I don't think stimulants will keep you from sleeping. It's just the way your body reacts to the stimulants.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of the same way.
Okay.
You know, my big caffeine overdose story is I would abuse Red Bulls.
Ugh, they're so bad for you.
I know, but
that's okay. Don't worry. Once upon a time, I was a energy drinker on a regular basis, and when it started affecting my health, that's when I basically quit and swore it off for the rest of my life. So it's all good. Man.
No. As I'm chugging the 6-pack of Red Bull I brought home so that I could finish a programming project.
Oh my god! Chugging a 6-pack of Red Bull, you psychopath!
Down an entire 6-pack. It is not like the little baby 8s either. These were 12s.
No! What are you doing?
Yeah, just down to 6-pack. And my wife's like, why are you trying to have a heart attack? I'm like, well, if I have a heart attack, I don't have to finish this assignment. If I don't have a heart attack, I have to finish this assignment. So, chug. I'm going to go ahead and finish this assignment. Finished it. And then, like, she's like, so you're not going to sleep? And I'm like, no, watch this. I sit on the couch, just kind of lean over, and crash.
Oh, man. Well, because you're probably exhausted after all the work you just did.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it's sitting in front of a computer, programming and troubleshooting.
But, I mean, that takes a lot of mental power, though. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, it doesn't all have to be, like, physical energy. Like,
personal flex, it's not really that much mental energy once you've been doing it for a while.
Oh, watch out. We got a professional badass over here.
Yeah. Like, if you've been doing something your entire life, it becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like, coming up upon an error, reading code and seeing where the error happened, and then picking up on the error.
Mm-hmm.
After about a decade of doing it, it's become second nature.
Oh. See, I think that's so cool. Like, because my dad is like that, where, programming is just like I would almost say, computer languages are his, like, secondary languages. Like, he just knows them. Hell, they might even be his primary languages. And there will be times where I'll sit down with my father and he'll just start speaking computer-nese at me, and there are times where I can get the basic gist of it because he's raised me on it my whole life, even though I don't really understand it, but I can catch bits and pieces and get a basic idea of what he's talking about. But, it's just so natural to him that it's like, drinking water or breathing air. And I'm just like, how? Like, you literally live this whole world that I can't even begin to fathom. It just blows my mind. And I think that's so cool. Like, I mean, there are times where I get a little jealous and I'm like, man, I wish I could, have a natural, like, because I mean, yes, I could learn it, right? But I think also that a part of it is just being naturally talented at it. And I feel like you and people like you and my father just have a natural inclination to it. And it's just so amazing to me that people can just be wired like that. Like, I think that's amazing. And that's super cool that, like, you're like, yeah, I don't have to think too much about it. It's just normal. Like, that's so...
Yeah, but then your brilliance becomes a burden.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like the classic of, it's a blessing and a curse, Yeah. Yeah. I
can't stop diagnosing things.
Oh, yeah? Like, troubleshooting people's computer problems and stuff like that, or just seeing something that happens on somebody's computer and being like, that probably shouldn't be happening this way. You should think about doing it this way, or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it stayed in the realm of computers.
Oh no.
Yeah. You get really good at pattern recognition, and you can be like, I've seen this story before.
Yeah.
Here's what's gonna happen. Here's my advice.
Troubleshooting
Run
life.
free. Run free, little bird.
Oh man, you know, it's funny because I definitely can say that I've seen people do that kind of stuff where it's like they get, you know, really good at a particular style of work and then they start applying it to everything around them, and you're just like, I get it, like it really makes perfect sense, but sometimes, you know, your your work passion doesn't necessarily translate to absolutely everything around you all the time, and it's kind of a struggle. And yeah, sometimes even just keeping an open mind with that kind of stuff is really rough, like, you know, because you can't necessarily, you know, empathize with everybody all the time no matter how hard you try, you know. Or like you want to, like you said, like you want to help people, and like you think you know for sure like what's going to work, or you see the patterns, and it's like, well, you know, like, not saying you don't know what you're doing or anything, but also you're not living the life of that very specific person. So it's like you can try everything you can to like help them out, but you can't actually know what life they're living and like what they're going through. And that's always a major struggle. It's just tough sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know. I'm very sympathetic to human nature, I feel like sometimes. Despite the fact that it very frequently angers me. I probably care about people as much as I get enraged by people on a regular basis. Like, what are you doing?
You're young, you'll learn.
I know. I get told that all the time. I'm planning to live forever. That's a joke that nobody laughs at. I think it's funny. I definitely wanted to kind of get back to sleep because I had a couple of really rough sleeping days, and I was trying to figure out what caused it, because with this new schedule that I've taken on for the graveyard shift and being up all night and sleeping all day, my body has gotten pretty well adjusted to it for the most part. I had a day a few days ago where I just could not sleep. I couldn't sleep. And I had like some tactics, you know, where that would help kind of like drift me off into sleep that I've used before that usually help. And none of them worked this time around, and it was just miserable. This was also before the heat wave hit too. So like it wasn't like, you know, the unbearable heat was keeping me awake or anything like that. Like it was just a totally normal, comfortable day. And, you know, I tried everything. Like I tried, you know, trying to darken the room. I tried, you know, normally I listen to like a playlist of movies or listen to music or something. I tried lowering the volume. I even tried turning it off at one point. And then I had some methods that are like kind of almost like a counting sheep kind of thing almost, but not quite. And those particular methods helped me in the past when I've had trouble falling asleep, and that didn't work. So I kind of got to a point of where like I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to go back out into my living room. I'm going to maybe work on some video editing, and then maybe if I'm feeling a little bit more relaxed, like maybe I can burn off some energy by doing some video editing. And then if I feel a little more mellow after that, I can put on like a YouTube video and just lay back on my couch and relax and see what happens. And I did eventually get a few hours of rest because I just crashed on my couch, which really annoyed me because I have a super nice, comfortable bed that I absolutely love. And I was very upset that I was able to crash on my couch instead of on my super fluffy, comfortable bed, you know? So do you ever have like struggles like that where you're just like, no matter what I do, even though I should be able to sleep, I really just can't sleep, and I don't know why?
No.
That really doesn't happen to you, like, at all? You could just crash on a whim? Really?
I'm dependent on a depressant.
Oh, does that affect like how you sleep? Like, does that help you sleep?
Oh yeah.
Like in a good way or a bad way? Or both?
Probably both.
Is it like a give or take give and take kind of relationship where sometimes it's like really useful and then sometimes you're like, well, I really wish that I could be up to do something, but I can't because I'm exhausted because of this, depressant I have to take.
The depressant is alcohol, by the way. It's not a clean sleep. I don't ever wake up rejuvenated.
Okay.
Or feeling rejuvenated. Sleep is sleep. It works. I wake up in the morning, groggy. I was never much of a morning person, so age, fatigue, a lot of other things. I don't feel like I get clean sleep, and I can almost wager that a lot of it is due to the sleeping properties of the alcohol I consume most nights.
Well, I mean, do you like wish that you could have like a clean sleep or anything like that, or is it just?
I don't think it's possible for me.
Okay.
Not without medical intervention.
Right.
I should probably make some time to get a sleep study done and get put on one of those CPAP machines.
Yeah.
Because I've got some pretty gnarly sleep apnea.
That's another interesting thing that I would love to discuss with you as well. But we'll move into that when you're done with this.
Oh, I mean,
no, it's all good.
If you have questions, just feel free to ask. But yeah, so I don't find that I have a hard time sleeping.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it like everybody it takes time for them to get to sleep when they start the process.
Right.
But I mean, I just put like one of your gameplay episodes on in the background.
Aw, thank you.
And I'm gonna help you out with your watch time a little bit, homie.
Man, I love you, Lettuce. I appreciate you, buddy.
And then I'll fall asleep, like listening to you play Minecraft, not when you're horror game streams, because those you make very loud noises because you're a jumpy individual.
Yeah. That's true. Thank you. I think that's a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment.
It is what it is.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I appreciate it.
But no,
that.
so I don't think I have. Now, sometimes I wake up with some pretty gnarly migraines.
Okay.
That might be part of the sleep apnea thing. Light sensitivity.
I have that.
You have some really bad light sensitivity. Invest in blackout curtains.
Yeah, I was actually, the other day I was in Walmart and I was actually looking in the section where they have blackout curtains, and I was legitimately thinking, it was particularly happened after I had this episode of not being able to sleep. I was like, maybe I need blackout curtains, because I only have basic shades that come with the apartment, pretty much.
And if light hits them, they glow.
Yeah, basically. Normally I can sleep through it. Normally that doesn't affect me, but I was wondering if maybe for the first time ever it might have had something to do with it, and I was like, maybe I should just go ahead and get them and see what it's like,
Yeah, because that's a common sensory stimulation.
Right.
That will cause somebody to rest uneasy. That's something that you would probably want to invest in.
Okay.
Some blackout curtains. You could put them up with some command strips.
Yeah, that's the thing, is because the window frames for my apartment, they only have room to support the shaders, and I don't know what I would need to get to attach to the shaders in order to be capable, or even to the window frames, because I'm not allowed to damage the walls, so like I can't nail anything in.
So what you do is you buy larger blackout curtains,
and
you drape them over the shades. And command strips are these nice little kind of pseudo Velcro with sticky tape.
They're like elastic, right? And you like peel them off by pulling them. Yeah, I've seen them. I've used them before.
Yeah, at work I use them to mount network hardware to a wall where I don't think that's the final resting spot.
Okay.
So I have like 100 little mini, like 400, like I have like a bag of 100 command strips.
Right.
And if I need to hang a piece, like a switch or something on a wall or something like that, I'll put 2 or 3 strips on the thing and just slap it on the wall and be done with it. And then if we figure out a more permanent location, that's when that's when I start bolting things to the wall.
Right. I'll look into it. I'll even, like, what I'll also do is, I might, like, ask some other people about it who, like, maybe some people that, live in my apartment complex who I'm pretty sure have those kinds of shades, and ask them about what they might have done or something like that to kind of get a better idea. Since they have, like, the exact same kind of windows that I do, they might, have some input on it or something as well. But I will look into that, because that sounds pretty helpful. And plus, like, just even making my apartment look a little nicer might be kind of cool, too.
Well, I mean, I would just, since you do have to sleep during the day, and if you do have a mild light sensitivity, and it might have hurt your ability to sleep, if anything, you have a thick curtain, sitting, off your wall.
Right.
And what the thing with the command strip is you can unvelcro it, and if you need light in your room, but if you don't need light in your room, you just slap it on and be done with it.
Yeah, I barely ever lift the shades in my bedroom, so it's very rare that I do that. I'm trying to think of times where I have done it and why I did. I think the only time I usually do it, like when I lift the shades or allow light to get in through those shades, it's because I have my window open and there's a breeze rolling through, and I don't want the breeze slapping my shades all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In my bedroom, the blackout curtains are almost a permanent fixture.
Yeah.
Because if I get hit with the sun ray in the right way, I run the risk of waking up with migraine.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I have that, and I also have a box fan underneath it. So there's a little bit of light that gets in, but not a lot.
Yeah. My father has what he calls painless migraines, where he'll have, like, symptoms of migraines, but won't feel any physical pain from the migraine. So, like, the things that cause, like, for example, like, eye blurriness or, just different kinds of symptoms that are involved with migraines but are not necessarily pain-related. He gets those.
I get splitting headaches, like, to the point where it's, almost impossible for me to think or see. A migraine will shut me down for at least 12 hours.
God, that's so scary. A friend of mine that I connected with recently, they were telling me that they have to deal with migraines, and it does actually sometimes just completely shut them down for a long period of time. And I'm like, God, I can't even, like, imagine that. That sounds awful, It's scary. Something that you mentioned earlier that I kind of wanted to get into a little bit, because I recently, I haven't been dealing with it as much, like, lately, like very, very recently, but I started having symptoms of it. Like, they come and go, and there are some days where it's really bad, and then they're, like, the majority of the time I never have a problem, but then there are some days where it's super duper bad. You mentioned having sleep apnea, and a while ago I started having symptoms of sleep apnea, which, when it started showing up, it scared me, because I've never had it before. And the way that I found out that I started showing symptoms of it was I would be sleeping, and it would either be that I'm almost completely asleep or I actually am asleep. And what would happen is I wake up all of a sudden gasping for air, like my life depends on it, basically. Like, just
because you're asleep, but then you feel yourself stop breathing all of a sudden.
Yeah, like you're suffocating. Yeah. And I started experiencing that a few times. And I mean, it's kind of, like I said, it comes and goes. Like, there are times where it can be pretty bad. There are some times where I'll have a night where it'll just happen like 2 or 3 times. And then after that one night of it happening like 2 or 3 times, it then, like, goes away for like 3 months and I don't see anything about it. So I personally am a side sleeper. I've always been that way all my life. I have some weird things about it. Like, I always feel more comfortable on my side. I feel like I can always fall asleep on my side, and usually I wake up on my side. And I also have what I call I have a 6-foot therapy pillow, which I pretty much have no ability to sleep without, because, like I said, I'm a side sleeper, and I have this thing where I can't have my knees touch. If my knee, when I'm trying to fall asleep and I'm sleeping on my side, if my knees touch each other, I have this visceral, like, fingernails on a chalkboard reaction. It feels, huh?
Well, I mean, you're a bony little.
Bruh.
I'm pretty sure that your bony knees grinding into each other's got to be a pleasant feeling.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. That's actually, when I tried explaining this to my father, that was exactly his reaction as well. He was just like, well, that's because you're all skin and bones, and you can't have your bones slapping all up on each other like that. It's not okay. Yeah, so for as long as I can remember, I've always needed to have a pillow between my knees, because I can't sleep with my knees touching each other, because it's just not cool and I can't stand it. So, but what happens is, the only other way that I can sleep other than that is by laying flat out on my back, and that's usually okay. However, with these recent, episodes where I wake up in the middle of the night because I can't breathe, every time it's been because I would be laying flat out on my back. It's scary because sometimes, like, there are times where I'll wake up on my back, so it's like sometimes I'll fall asleep while on my side, and then the next day I'll wake up on my back. So it's just kind of scary knowing that, most of the time it's, if I fall asleep on my side, I wake up on my side, and that's usually fine. And knowing that that's how it usually goes is fine as well. But with the few conditions that sometimes I, will fall asleep on my side and then wake up on my back, it's scary knowing that there's always a chance that I could, in the middle of the night, just start not being able to breathe. And I don't know if I need, because it's so infrequent, I don't know if I need to actually look into, further, sleep apnea stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if I need, like, an oxygen machine or something like that, because it's so infrequent. It's like a once every, I would say, like, couple of months, I'll have, like, an episode of it. And I don't know if that's enough to actually require me to look into it deeper. So, I mean, considering you said that you actually have sleep apnea, like, was it something that kind of, hit you like a truck, where it was just like all of a sudden every night you were doing it? Or was it like a thing where...
It's been my whole life thing.
Really? Okay, so like for as long as you can remember.
I had bronchial asthma as a kid, and I have terrible sinuses. My sinuses are almost always draining in the back of my throat. Right. It's just one of those things that it's mild sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. My snoring, I've been told several times that I am quite a prolific snorer. That's another symptom of sleep apnea. Yeah. Is, just your airways are not 100% clear, so they make the noise and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a silent sleeper. I don't snore. But there's been some times where, like, even like napping, I'll like lay back and then I'll feel my airways shut down.
God, that's so scary.
Well, I mean, I'm cognizant of it, so I like go ahead and do it.
You know how to react, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's something my whole life, so I just don't freak out. I'm like, oh, okay, remember, like, just sit up for a second, take a deep breath, back down.
Well, and the thing is because, like you mentioned, that you've had to deal with that kind of stuff all your life. You've always had breathing troubles. I also, all my life, have had breathing troubles. Pretty much, like, it really started, the real, conditions started showing up when I was in middle school, when I was trying to be more physically athletic, and I had to take a physical, and I failed my physical because they noticed that I had, like, shallow breathing and things like that. And we ended up finding out that I had a condition where my lungs are basically pressed up against my chest and they can't fully expand. So, I've had to deal with that ever since then. And that was when I was, like I said, I was probably about 13, maybe 14 years old when we first discovered that I had that condition. And it's caused no end of interesting troubles ever since then. Like, it causes me, because I have to breathe from my diaphragm pretty frequently. Like, my stomach is literally my third lung. And so, for example, if you see me streaming and you suddenly see me gasp, out of nowhere, it sounds almost like a hiccup, but it's not like an actual hiccup. That's my diaphragm saying, you need oxygen, so I'm just going to gasp for air. And that's what that is. And, also sometimes is when it gets really bad, if I'm not taking, if I'm not getting enough oxygen through my body, I'll black out. I'll just straight up pass out. And
that's anybody.
Yeah. And on top of that, like, I'm also relatively tall for my family. Like, I am a pretty tall guy. I'm 5'11". That's right, ladies. 1 inch under 6 feet. Nothing I can do about that. I apologize. But
I've got 4 inches above 6 feet, ladies.
Oh, sad face. Lettuce is taller than me. So you're 6'4"?
Yeah.
Wow. I always, it's weird because I always expected you to be tall. I thought that you would be more on my level, like either like right about like
straight, 6'1" maybe.
Yeah, I always figured you to be either kind of like me, like 5'11", or like you said, like 6 foot or 6'1". So that kind of surprises me that you're like 6'4". That's pretty tall, man. So like what I was gonna say is one of the problems that I have with being tall is that blood doesn't always flow to my head correctly, especially when I'm moving very quickly. So like I can, have tunnel vision, or I can black out if it's really terrible, or my vision can go blurry, or, I get dizzy. As a person who is also tall, 6'4", do you ever deal with that?
No, but I wasn't conceived with a weak sperm.
Ouch. That,
love you, buddy.
Yeah, that hurt, man. that hurt. Okay, well, cool.
No, my family, I come from a family full tall people, stout people, thick people. So our hearts are built to pump through large masses.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm kind of a big, like, I'm kind of a gangly dude. I'm very skin and bones. And there's actually, once again, there's another medical condition that relates to weight gain problems. I do have a weight gain problem, but it's that I can't gain weight, not that I gain too much weight. So I am skin and bones, and 9 times out of 10, that's completely out of my control. So, but yeah, I think that I wouldn't say that anybody in my family is particularly more prone to thickness, nor is my family, from what I've noticed anyways, more prone to being gangly and skinny. I always kind of got the impression that my body and how I came out is kind of a freak of nature. So I am a living, breathing freak of nature.
But we love you anyway.
Apparently so. And I appreciate that. But yeah, like, I'm much taller than a lot of people in my family. I'm definitely much skinnier than a lot of people in my family. I also I have a particular look about me that is kind of not super normal to my family, which is also kind of interesting. So it's weird, man. It's a weird life. It's a weird life sometimes, but I think we all kind of have our own weird lives going on and dealing with weird things all the time. So I don't know if I can necessarily say that anything that's going on with my body at any particular given time is weirder than anybody else's. So I can't ever really make that claim. But yeah, but anyways, the sleep apnea thing it's scary because it feels like maybe it was always meant to happen because of the breathing issues that I've had my entire life. But at the same time, like, I don't know, because it's so rare, I don't know if it's ever going to become a normal thing for me in the future, or if it's just this weird freak accident that happens once every 2 or 3 months or something. So
it's something I would keep an eye on.
Yeah, you're probably right. And especially
given your respiratory issues.
Yeah, Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's nice knowing, like, talking with you, knowing that you're somebody that has experience with it, and you're just right off the bat telling me, like, it's something I should look into. So that makes me feel a little more confident in wanting to go in and get it taken a look at, and it's probably something I should do at some point.
Yeah, it's something to keep in the back of your mind, especially if it happens, like with any kind, like if you get like a back-to-back frequency or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get a sleep study done.
A sleep study.
Because that's where they'll pick up on the sleep apnea.
Gotcha.
They'll be able, basically, like, sequester yourself to a hotel room.
Okay.
They wire you up to a bunch of doodads and heebie-jeebies.
Okay.
And you sleep in a hotel, and you sleep in a really nice hospital bed for a night, and then within a day or two, they tell you, they tell you what your breathing was looking like. They tell you what your heart rate was through the night, and they look at your brain activity through the night.
Do they let you know if you're a scanner?
Well, I mean, if they pick it up, they probably will get the FBI.
Is my audience old enough to know that reference?
I doubt it.
I love that movie, by the way. Just gonna go ahead and put that out there.
Yeah.
I love old movies. Okay, well, yeah, it's
because outside of myself,
well,
I know one of your listeners just turned 33 today.
Oh, yeah, that's right, huh?
And the rest of your listeners, I can't vouch for how old they are, but if any of them are above the age of 35, I'd be shocked.
Well, I mean, also
you're a Minecraft Let's Play channel, for crying out loud.
Yeah, kid, we're all dabbing and talking about scanners, making heads explode while we're playing the Fortnites. Oh man, that made me a little depressed. The thing is, though, is I actually have like a pretty large, I have a pretty deep cultural background when it comes to movies and stuff like that, and that's my father's fault. It's all his fault that I have such a deep taste in older movies and cultural references and things like that, because he had this obsession with educating me on good media when I was a kid. And I actually really genuinely appreciate that, because
I mean, that's all father's duties.
Yeah.
If you were a dad, you would take your child and you would make him listen to stuff that you thought was good.
Yeah, let me tell you, the moment I have a kid, he's going to be watching anime boobies all day long.
I mean, fair.
Totally not in a weird, creepy way. Just, your stereotypical, like, I'm going to make that kid watch isekais, okay? It's totally fine. Totally wholesome, family-friendly isekais, all right? Don't get on my case about this. It's totally safe and not weird at all.
I mean, I try to educate my son on music that I like and see if he could figure out what he likes.
Yeah, man. That's cool.
Movie wise, he's kind of young for the stuff that I would get him into, so that's sort of a wait.
Are there any bands that he really enjoys that you're like proud of him for really enjoying?
He likes the Pumpkins.
I was like, so when I asked that question, originally the original version of that question that I was going to ask was, does he like the Pumpkins?
he likes the Pumpkins. He likes rock music as long as it's not like heavy rock.
Sure. Like not super angry or anything like that.
Yeah. And he likes some Weezer, but not a lot.
Wow, good for him. That's okay. That's a good start. Some Weezer is good.
I mean, he likes the Africa cover, and he likes Islands in the Sun.
Yeah.
As long as it's the video version, the version of the video that has animals in it.
Cute. That's very cute. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's super wholesome and adorable. Yeah, to be honest, despite the joke that I made, I'm not much of a kid kind of person anyways though. I feel I'm always super uncomfortable around children. I don't like being around them all the time. But I mean, I can be polite and friendly and get along with them, especially if they're like the children of, friends of mine or whatever. I just, I'm kind of one of those dudes who doesn't.
All I ask is you don't punch my kid if he tries to hug you.
I will never do that. I'm actually too polite for that. Sadly, children will rope me into pointless conversations that go nowhere. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be near you. Like, I just don't want to be, like, anywhere within the vicinity of this child. But somehow, due to how polite I naturally have to be with people, I've been roped into a pointless, endless conversation with a small child, and all I want to do is just go away.
No, I get it. I don't like most other people's children either.
Yeah.
Some other people's kids are super cool.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them are like, nah.
Yeah. It's a discomfort kind of thing. Like, because my thing is,
You're not intended for small audiences.
No, that's exactly what it is. You're right.
You don't see yourself as being incredibly kid-friendly.
Yeah.
So it's uncomfortable when you're forced into the situation. I know the feels, bro.
Yeah. When I am communicating with people, I kind of expect like a particular level of intellect and interaction. You know what I mean? And obviously, let me tell you, there are some people that I've had conversations with where I'm just not getting that, and I'm like, cool, I don't want to spend any time with you anymore because you are just, I don't want to be a part of you. I don't want to be a part of this, So I mean, yes, that happens with adults, but it always, I would say, like the moment that I start a conversation with usually anybody who is, I want to say, like 14 years old or younger, I'm like, I don't want this. And even like
well, you just have no connection point with somebody that young.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and I even struggle with people that are, like older teenagers too. You know what I mean? Like, usually, like, my area is, like, if you're 20 years old, like, if you're, like, 19 is really pushing it, But if you're, like, 20 years old or older, we could, like, that's, like, about, like, the age where I can have, like, a conversation and I can probably want to be around you depending on, what you're talking about or, how intelligent you are or whatever. So, like, 19 kind of pushes it. And 20 is about right. Like 20 years and older is like, yeah, let's talk, let's have fun, like let's chat, But and then like, sometimes I can get some interactions with people that are a little bit younger than that, and it's fine. But like 14 is like, there's no way. Like there's no way that you're 14 years old or younger. There's no way that I can have any form of properly established communication with you that is coherent on both sides, Like, I just can't. And I don't want to...
I'm exceptionally emotionally immature, and I'm not quite as much of a hipster as I used to be.
Okay.
So I find myself more and more comfortable having conversations with the younger and the younger folks, mostly because I have practice because of my kid. But, even before that happened, I spent a lot of my time and a lot of my free time in my life, even before my kid was born.
Right.
As a individual in their late 30s, hanging out with 17 and up.
Mm-hmm.
Just given what my my particular hobbies.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first one to admit it. I used to indulge in the kids' games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
Still
especially
do to some extent.
Even if they're just like fun games, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I still play Pokemon, for God's sake. I love that stuff, and that's like, oh, that's a kid's game. And it's like, no, I can enjoy it. I'm an adult, and I can enjoy Pokemon. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. So, most of my conversations, skewed very young.
Right.
It's become less of a problem for me, especially after the kid was born.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I get where you're coming from, though. If you don't have that really a point of connection with the person, and as the age gap grows, the chances to connect on something or anything functional,
yeah,
it just approaches zero at a nice logarithmic curve.
Yeah, it's definitely like pretty interesting because like, and I feel like too that, you know, especially with how culture is going, you know, especially with internet culture and everything, there's definitely becoming a wider and wider gap between you know, adults and children, and like the ability to even interact with one another, because it's like, you know, when you're in a time where, you know, you constantly have to be aware of how you're interacting with children, because, you know, like for example, like you know, you mentioned like I knew exactly what you were referencing when you said please don't punch my kid, you know, because I knew who you were talking about. But I mean,
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, hi, Mike. But the thing is about that is that like
He probably doesn't listen to this podcast.
I don't know. I feel like maybe Carly listens to it. But if you're here, Carly, hi, Carly. I love you, sweet little lady. But I think Carly listens to it. But my point is that a part of that too is that like Mike one time said, he's like, I don't want to talk with your kid because I don't want to have any kind of association with your kid, because I don't want to be seen as like a suspicious person, you know. And he's not. But the thing is that like at any particular time, internet culture can see that happening and just be like, oh, you had some form of interaction with like a child that's not your own child, like you're probably dangerous. And it's like, that's a major contributing factor to it. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people, I mean, I have a lot of personal reasons where it's like, you know, I don't like interacting with children because, you know, they're not interesting, and I have a rough time communicating with them, and I just don't want to be a part of it. But there's also that little bit of like, I don't want people seeing me interacting with a young child that's not my own, or whatever, you know, like, or family or whatever. I don't want people seeing me with this child, because I don't know what kind of future implications it could have, even though, you know, that's not the case. So it's there's that kind of establishment to it, and it didn't used to be that way, you know. Like, you know, there have always been friendly adults who are just legitimately interacting with children, and, you know, because either it's their job, or they're just being nice, or, you know, they're just, that's the kind of people they are. But there's so much like weirdness going on in the world, and there's so much, you know, sketchy people out in the world, because that is still legitimately a major problem. Is there's some really gross, creepy people out there that are awful and terrible. And on top of that, though, is you also have to keep in mind that also internet loves taking things out of context as well. So
Right.
It's just better to be safe and just not, you know, interact with children unless they are in fact your family, or you know, like you've known them for a long time through friends, and even sometimes that can be a little weird. But
yeah, back when I was a kid, heck, it was perfectly normal for a parent to just let the kid go to the park by themselves and just hang out and come back when it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
Like that was something I did as like a child my kid's age.
Mm-hmm.
I'd walk, you know,
I was
lived
the
in
same.
a city.
I was the same.
Lived in a city, could walk to the park, and go to the park. They served free lunches at the park. I ate lunch at the park.
Which was not a weird, creepy thing at that time. Like, that was a totally normal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just spend all day outside.
Yeah.
Then I would come in.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that these days.
No, it's a very different world now, and like the thing is too is that like it's
the scary thing is when I was a kid,
mm-hmm.
NAMBLA existed still.
Yeah.
Like in not my park, but other parks in the city, a child was abducted. It's not like it didn't happen. It's just it got worse over time, and the media kind of picked up on it and said, hey, you know, watch your effing kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's 9 p.m., Lettuce. Do you know where your kids are?
Yes. Because it's like 11 o'clock where he's at, and I sure as fuck hope he's asleep.
Oh man, yeah, it's a weird world, and you just got to be careful. And I mean, even though I'm not a fan of children, I do have a particular soft spot for them, and I do think that they do need to be protected, and it's a parent's job to make sure that they're taking care of their children and protecting them from all the awful and terrible things on this planet. So, it's just that and I don't even if I remember, I think I've talked about this, not in our podcast, but I've talked about it elsewhere, which is child death is not something that I'm comfortable with in the slightest. Nobody should be, obviously, but for some reason it really irks me to the point of where if I'm reading a book that has child death in it, that's usually something that will make me stop reading that book. Or if I watch a movie, for example, I could never finish watching or finish reading the book Pet Sematary because of the extreme child death in that. And
you're not a fan of dead baby jokes.
I guess I could say that they were funny when I was a kid, but that's because it was a word of mouth thing, and it was a sense of humor, and it wasn't super graphic. But it's when you read the book Pet Sematary, or when you're watching the movie of Pet Sematary, it's very graphic, and they make sure that that it's very graphic, and that's something that just really, truly, genuinely bugs me to my core. I can't stand that kind of stuff, and I've always found myself to be particularly sensitive to, that particular, because for example, I could watch a movie, a horror movie, where all the characters will die, and I'll be yeah, whatever, whatever. But the moment that I watch a movie where a small child dies or something, I might cry, I might straight up cry, because my brain can't handle that, it just can't. But yeah, children deserve to be protected, and the disgusting people that want to harm them, it genuinely disgusts me to my core, and it really bugs me that there are people out there in this world that you can't do anything about in a particular sense, that just that's what they are and that's what they do, and it's it sucks because you can't begin to understand why they are that way, and it's just sad that they have to be that way around a kind of people that are just so innocent and defenseless, and yeah, so, but sleep, man, it's important. So
get yourself a blackout curtain.
Yeah, man, I will.
Maybe limit your stimulations to white noise generator and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's possible. I definitely want to change some of my habits for sleeping, that's for sure. And I definitely will look into the sleep apnea stuff, because like I said, it's not a common thing yet, but maybe I should probably look into it. And yeah, what's up?
And all else fail, and if all else fails, nothing does better than a shot of Crown.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is about me, Lettuce, I'm not a very heavy drinker. I don't
Well, then that's great, because then all you need is the shot.
That's true. I have a very large liquor cabinet, and I've pretty much never touched it. So
you're telling me you're a cheap date.
It's true. Here's the thing. I get drunk very easily. I sober up very quickly, and I don't have hangovers. Fun fact.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
Okay, well there you go. Now you know what kind of alcoholics that me and Lettuce are.
For being as big of a guy I am, I'm still surprisingly lightweight. I get buzzed quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I typically do not drink past that point.
Yeah.
but then I sober up really quickly, and unless I drink beer or tequila, I don't have any ill effects afterwards.
I get that. Yeah, that's kind of it. I I will look into that because I've been sleeping better these last few days, but a lot of it is because of like the heat and the exhaustion. So maybe I think that's a major part of it as well. So yeah, when in doubt, just kind of work yourself into oblivion until you pass out because you have no energy left.
Do you have an oscillating fan?
I do have an oscillating fan.
Because sometimes I find the air movement helps a lot. It helps keeps the room from feeling stale.
Yes, that's something I genuinely do. I only use it during the summer though. That's kind of.
I keep my fans, like, even in the dead of winter. I'll have my ceiling fan running, my oscillating fan running, and my window fan running.
Really? Well, then maybe I will. Maybe after the summer, when it starts cooling down, I will try that and see if that also helps.
Dead of winter in the south is like, it's still 60 degrees.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will try that out and see how it works out for me. So like now I've got a bunch of different options to kind of test and see how they affect how I sleep and stuff like that. And
life tips from the old man.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll try the blackout curtains I was kind of planning on even before you told me. But I feel like hearing it from you is going to help me encourage myself to really, really double down on it and look into it a bit deeper. So that's...
And as a renter, if you're worried about ruining your wall as a renter, the command strips is the hack you get around that.
All right. Well, I will definitely check that out, buddy. Besides that, the little bit of extra advice on sleeping there at the end. Do you have any last words before we dip out? Anything you want to say?
I actually got something I want to plug.
What? You got something you want to plug? Do it.
Yeah, my girlfriend Courtney, she's the one who listens to this podcast that turned 33 today.
Hey.
So maybe a happy birthday shout out to her.
Damn, what's up, girl? Happy birthday, Courtney.
So gladly plug my girlfriend on her birthday.
Awesome. Congratulations. Happy birthday. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm going to say all of my normal plugs because I'm a filthy, worthless shill over here.
Sellout.
Yeah, I know. I'm a sellout. Habanero, he was so cool until he started selling out. That's when he was in his prime before he, it was all... I
knew Habanero before he was cool.
Yeah, I listened to that guy until he started, getting popular and getting into the industry. Yeah, so go ahead, and if you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Doing that stuff really helps me out. It kind of keeps us going, and we greatly appreciate it. I know Lettuce definitely does. Go ahead and check in the description below for all the wonderful links such as PayPal and Streamlabs. All donations are greatly appreciated. And they also help my channel out because I've been slowly improving the channel through all of your guys' wonderful donations. And I also have a wonderful Patreon with wonderful, amazing Patreon members, which include the wonderful Mr. Ya Boy Lettuce, who is right here with me right now as we're speaking.
It's me, the old guy.
It's a him. Bo Falcon, Mr. Fajouk Enterprises, James P., Miss Rebecca, and also my lovely newest member to my Patreon page, which is the wonderful Scorpageist. So thank you.
One of us.
One of us. So welcome, Scorpageist. Thank you so much for joining our Patreon. We greatly appreciate you. And you guys are amazing, and you guys keep allowing me to do what I love doing, such as these podcasts, so thank you so much for that. And I think other than that, we're just going to go ahead and, follow your dreams, and we're going to dip out. So we have been the Imaginary Boys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Good night, everybody. Bye.